Welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. We're starting your week off right. This is the Pop Culture Roundup. Now, we have a returning guest today. I woke up at 8 in the morning. I woke up at 7 to try to be awake for 8 a.m. because there's only a few people that I would wake up this early for, but I know she's worth it. She is a deputy editor for Us Weekly. You guys know, I was just talking this week about how much I love Us Weekly and what it's meant in my life. No joke. And I think it's meant a lot of things in your guys' life as well. But we have the one, the only Sarah Hearon. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for getting up early for me. I'm sorry I do this to you. My Sundays are precious, but there's no other way I'd rather spend my morning, but I know it's torture. I'm sorry.
Wait, Sarah, where are we going today? Because you always seem like you have the best life. You're interviewing celebrities, reality stars, and then it seems like you have a healthy personal life. You're always traveling. What are you doing today after this?
I like the term healthy personal life in a way to be like, she's always at a bar. She's always on a plane.
No, I think you were like an apple orchard. I was looking at there's different places other than a bar.
There's different. I have a nephew.
But is it a bar today? Is it a bar today, though?
It's a bar today. We've calmed ourselves. I have a nephew now, so sometimes we have wholesome baby content on Instagram. But today, football Sunday in Hoboken is kind of a religion.
So are you a sports girl?
I actually am. I grew up with two brothers and parents that are pretty much only care about football. So they pretend to, listen to know what I'm talking about, to read my stories, but they really don't care at all. So it's been, as much as people are over Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, my latest mission at Us Weekly has been to teach the lovely other fellow journalists of mine what a tight end does. And we also cover golf now because they trend. So I'm teaching them yes, in golf, low score is good. When Scotty Scheffler's getting arrested, I'm no, the minus is good. He's playing well. It's been a new journey. My sports knowledge has turned into something I can use at usmagazine.com.
Oh my God. Us Weekly's fantasy football team would be an amazing if every week. And by the way, this is a fun sports fact that I've learned recently. Travis Kelce, who you just mentioned, he dates Taylor Swift. I don't know if anybody's aware of that yet, but huge. Yeah. Wait, is Taylor? Well, I saw this weekend, Taylor last night was in New York with Gigi Hadid. They were out to dinner. So is she going to go to the game? I think it's in Atlanta today. Is she going to go?
She probably is because it's a Sunday night game. So we're talking prime time. So she's got plenty of time to get there. It's also, though, the only reason she might not go, and this is literally me speculating, this is not inside information at all, but he's had a rough start to the season. If anyone's looking at the stats,
but they've won the last two games.
They've won, but not with the help of Travis Kelce. He has 39 yards in the last game. So I think they might be worried that if the table starts to turn and we start to Jessica Simpson her when Tony Romo back in the day, and people would, or the Kardashians, how they always blame them for their sports. Yeah. I don't think that's fair to do, for the record, but it's something that social media and the world does. So if she doesn't show up, I almost feel like it's a way to be don't blame her. But also then if he plays well, they can't win these people. So we'll see. But she has plenty of time to get to Atlanta. We'll find out.
Well, there was one of the Atlanta players that were I'm going to troll Travis Kelce on the field with Taylor Swift lyrics. And then I just thought, how brutal, you're having to hear Fortnite lyrics. It was a fortnight before I tackled your ass.
No, for sure. Okay, it's very funny. Sports have been an interesting thing.
No. Well, interesting thing in your life, or just an interesting thing in terms of pop culture recently?
Well, it's always been in my life, like I mentioned, and I went to Ohio State, so I have always cared.
Go Buckeyes!
Go Bucks! I have boo Michigan. We hate them. I have a decent knowledge, nothing crazy, but I can definitely hold my own. And I never really. I used to always when I was at Us in the beginning. I don't know if this is interesting to people, but be the Masters are this weekend. We should look up if the favorites are married and have cute kids and do relationship timelines, or find out if they're, you have someone like Dustin Johnson who's married to Paulina Gretzky. That's a beautiful Us Weekly concept because you have pretty model, daughter of Wayne Gretzky, sports guy, cute kids. They had a messy relationship at one point. So yeah. I've always kind of been pitching stuff like that and bringing stuff like that to the forefront at Us. I mean, it's not a new concept, but in my era of working at Us. But then with Taylor, people I think saw, this is crazy. Can we replicate this? I'm well, not to this degree, but as I've been saying, there is a lovely mix of when you're watching a sports broadcast and they shoot to, oh, pretty blonde girl in crowd or cute baby, the Google goes crazy. Who is that? Who is that person? And if you have done the story already, you have a higher chance of coming up on search, especially because, we're not going to, Golf Digest is going to be this first response for Scotty Scheffler. But if we have Scotty Scheffler, wife Meredith, due to give birth, like they're not doing that angle. So we can find our own niche in that. And it's been something that's been very successful to the point where I had a coworker at an event the other day with people from DraftKings. And they were like, oh, like you guys are covering a lot of sports lately. So like, it's definitely like we're doing it and it's working.
Well, what you talked about in terms of searches, and I know this is a little inside baseball, so forgive me, audience, but Betches this past week was trying to teach me more about like searches and SEO and all of this stuff. And like, the click over rate and all of this weird stuff that I don't think about at all. But you guys have to think about that. And I get so many emails from Us Weekly every day. And I truly love it. Sometimes I crack up because, it's like, oh, you guys are like relationships that happened in the 80s. Like it's really like very specific ones. But it's like always one of my first sources, like that Us Weekly, because I have those emails. What this weekend? Are you off on the weekends or are you on like call 24/7?
I mean, I'm never really off unless I go to a country that my email doesn't work, which I do sometimes on purpose. I don't work the weekends actively, but my role with the website right now is very much the day-to-day of assigning and kind of curating a lot of the stories we're posting. So I will chime in usually on Saturday and Sunday mornings, drop a few links of things I'm seeing. We'll check our numbers. For example, this weekend, if you've been on usmagazine.com,
What was big this weekend for you guys?
The new trailer for Tia Mowry's reality show is blowing up. I saw that
on today's email, but okay, so Tia Mowry has a new reality show on WeTV, and the only reason I know this is because I'm a trash can and I watch Love After Lockup on Friday nights.
You do?
And, and I don't cover it on the show. It's like for me, like I'm like, this is just for me to relax, and I love it. But Tia Mowry, they had that preview all over. And I sat there and was like, because WeTV, I enjoy Love After Lockup. And I'm like, how much is Tia Mowry truly getting for a WeTV reality show? And I didn't realize she's estranged from her sister.
So the thing about Tia and Tamara is they hit so many, they hit the right generation for this right now, because people like me who grew up watching Sister and like Twitches on Disney Channel, we're obsessed with Tia and Tamara. I watched their show on the Style Network, RIP Style Network. They had a show for years. And when Tia got divorced like 2 years ago from her husband, Corey, that like anyone who watched Tia and Tamara, like that hits because you knew that she had been with him since Sister. It was like her only real boyfriend. They have these cute kids. And like Tamara, you watched more like Try to Find Love. She eventually married her husband, Adam. Like you were more like Tia and Corey were solid is like what it always seemed. So that kind of rocked it. And they've always hit with our audience a little bit. But Entertainment Tonight had this like first 10 minutes of the show. And people clipped the part where she's talking about Tamara. And in the clip, she says, it's times like this, I wish I was closer to my sister and could call her up, because she was talking about dropping off the kids at Corey's house and how hard that is for her to adjust to since they've been together since they were teenagers.
Yeah.
And obviously co-parenting. And it went viral because everyone is like, oh my God, like Tia and Tamara, like these twins, like we know, in what world do you dream that they're not going to be close? They're the Twitches. It's sister. And so I wasn't surprised. I was the one to flag it and be like, this is going to be a thing. And it was. And now there are stories in People Magazine and some source reporting coming out saying she was talking about proximity of the fact that she lives in Napa.
Oh, this clickbait.
But in the quote, Tia says, I can't call her up. But now they're saying maybe the show was edited in a way. So there was also quotes that are resurfacing that I think Deadline, which always makes me laugh when like Deadline and Variety kind of come to our level of like the nitty gritty.
Yeah, because by the way, you guys, just so you don't know, if Deadline and Variety are like the creme de la creme in terms of like real like reporting. They really take themselves very seriously.
They're like the CNN of television news.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they resurfaced quotes that Tamara gave a few months ago saying she didn't know Tia had a reality show coming out. So it's there's definitely like smoke and fire. There's something happening there, and now like there's things happening, and she's going to start promoting the show, and we'll see what happens and what they try to spin. But there's definitely something going on.
Well, there's great interest because it hits like that nostalgia, right? Like we all want that nostalgia. It's pop culture. It's what they're doing today. And do you ever wonder in 30 years from now when we're I'm already old. You're going to start hitting probably being very old in 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to be nostalgic for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift? Are we going to be nostalgic? Like, what is the like Vanderpump Rules? Where are they now? Like, I can already read the Us Weekly headlines.
You know, we have a Vanderpump who left the show. Where are they now already? It's literally just like, no one knows where Laura Lee is. That's like what the story says. If you're looking. Yes, I think we will be the same way people already kind of like glamorize first seasons of Housewives. I think we'll be nostalgic for like, I don't know, like Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
Like
oh my God, because Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber's kid will be in their 20s.
Right. And like, will that kid have to get Selena Gomez fans in his comments the way Hailey Bieber still does? Like, probably at this rate.
Oh my God.
Jax
Could you imagine
Bieber
if we're
Selenators
trolling? Okay, so you've had, like I said, I think a very busy week. I was looking at your Instagram. You went and got your nails did with Paige DeSorbo from Summer House. Why were you getting your nails done with Paige DeSorbo?
So first, I just want to say, like, what happens to me is I either am out every single day of the week and I don't sleep and I'm a monster by the weekend, or I stay home and I watch like 8 episodes of Gilmore Girls. So it's like one or the other. And it just so happens everything happens in the same week, which can be fun, but also exhausting. But I did kick off the week with Paige DeSorbo, getting my nails done with her at a very bougie salon in New York, the Vanity Salon, which is, she has a partnership with Malibu that she's had all summer. And they are doing Malibu Rum, and they are doing Malibu Rum inspired nails. Ryan can see my Malibu nails. This is a $180 manicure, by the way.
Oh my God.
I obviously didn't pay for it. Malibu did. And I had 20 minutes on the record with Paige where we just like chatted about all things. I can tell you what she said about Summer House. And then we stopped recording and we chatted a little bit more. And then she had an event that started where like influencers and such came to then get their own manicures and mingle with Paige. But I got to go first and get my nails done with her. And it was just us and like the publicist in the salon.
Well, so Sarah, when you set up something, you know, it's already predetermined how much time you have. So in your head, like, how do you go through that question process of, I mean, do you farm it out to the team? I mean, I already know what I would want to know. Like, how do you whittle that down? And then also, how do you give room to have those social niceties to like kind of like giggle a little bit in the beginning? What is your strategy when you go into interviews like that?
Well, it's so funny because there's so many different types of interviews. Like, if you're going to be on a red carpet, you're getting a minute to 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
I do a lot of interview junkets in which I just did the Love is Blind season 7 interview junket.
I was going to ask.
Yeah. At Netflix, about that. Yeah. Which I can tell you about, but I had 5 minutes with 4 different people in front of me. So it was 4 women and me, and I had 5 minutes. So with those, I literally start those with, "Hi, I'm Sarah from Us Weekly. I don't have time for niceties. When I'm going to be blunt, and I'm sorry, but I have 5 minutes and there's a lot to talk about, and one by one. And then I end with hopefully a positive note and a bye. And there's no time. Like I do the Bachelor finale. You have 6.5 minutes and you have to go, "Hi, congrats on being engaged. Why did you sleep with the other girl?" Like there's literally no time. And I think I've gotten really my cadence as the way I talk fast and the way I present myself. I think people just look at me and know what they're in for at this point, which is good. Like I present it that way. But with Paige, I knew I was going to have the length of a manicure, which is a long time. But I also know that there's no trailer or anything for Summer House yet. There's not much she can really say. And Paige is a fun one to kind of give topics like fashion, talk about pop culture.
Oh, she can talk about anything. She literally is up on everything.
Yeah. So I kind of just wrote a mix. I always go to our team and like do a call for questions. What do people want to know? To see, because you want to see, am I off base? Like, this is what I care about. You see what other stories on Us Weekly from Paige that have done well. Her fashion performs on our website. So I'm going to ask her about skinny jeans, things like that. And I think a lot of it is also letting them carry the conversation to some degree. So you know what you want to get out of it, but half of interviewing is active listening. You want to let them go and talk. And she's a very easy interview. I mean, shouldn't surprise people. So I Summer House, when I was doing it for that part, I wanted to see what have other people said in the cast that I can ask her about because it's out there already and she's not breaking any rules to respond to something. You know what I mean? Because again, when there's no trailer, there's no, all we know about Summer House is they filmed it and who was there. She can't tell me storylines. She can't and she's a pro, by the way. Like, this isn't a rookie that's going to give me tea that she can't tell me on the record, at least. So I went and I watched Page Six, who I love, Evan and Danny, who were at the event.
I know, they're great.
Know them well. They talked to Sierra at Cane's. So everything's tied to partnerships. And she had made a comment that Jesse is the one who is going to have the most answer to and had kind of the most trouble this summer and was most drama. So I asked Paige what she meant by that, what she thinks Sierra meant by that. And she said that Jesse comes in hot and he, doesn't waste any time. And then when I asked her for the words to describe the season, she said confusing, silly, and telephone. And I asked her if Jesse is involved in the telephone. And she said, he very much is. He picked up the phone. She said, I didn't even know what was going on half the time. So I guess there's going to be some telephone involving Jesse Solomon on season 9 of Summer House. Was my
because at this point, you can't keep asking Paige, like, hey, is Craig going to move down here to New York? Like,
I didn't bring
we've
up
already
Craig
heard that question
once.
every time.
No,
okay,
I brought up his flip-flops when she talked about how she just was secretly throwing his flip-flops. There is like a degree of like, okay, people are going to want to know this, but like, I'm very much of the thing of like, I can't read another story about is Paige and Craig going to move. So I don't care. Like it's, you got to draw a line somewhere. Like we have the answers. They've been giving them for 3 years. Like I didn't ask one thing about getting married.
Did she say anything about Wes Wilson? Because I have to say, obviously he had a tough season, but I feel like this summer, like he has leaned into a certain type of persona online where I'm not a woman obviously yet. And I really feel like, I don't know, he just seems like that internet F-boy now. And it's like, he's like really like wants to be a TikToker. And I don't know. I don't know if that's just a vibe that we're all getting or if that's truly who he's becoming. Like, did she say anything about Wes Wilson?
Well, I think it's interesting that Jesse is the one that they're talking about because Wes seems like the easy answer for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe Jesse takes some heat for his boy is kind of what it's going to be. Like when you go into your second season of any show, if you look at anything, obviously this is when, if they bring you up, a lot of times they bring you down. I asked something along the lines of which X scenario was more awkward, like Lindsay and Carl or Wes and Sierra. And Paige took that question as an opportunity to praise both Lindsay and Carl and say something along the lines of they did something I could never do. And I, at one point during the summer, looked to someone and said, not right now, but I think eventually these two could be friends. So she didn't say anything about Wes and Sierra, which means I would imagine that they had more awkwardness than Carl and Lindsay for her to take that question and to not just pivot it and be like, well, obviously Lindsay and Carl, like that's crazy. They were engaged. So she said nothing of Wes and Sierra and said that Lindsay and Carl are going to surprise people, I think.
Now, I know this was a Malibu Rum event, so I'm sure you couldn't ask this, but was there any Loverboy, Craig Conover spritz battle
we didn't chat about that because we were with competing alcohol brands. But I think that's Kyle can't help himself. I've seen Kyle out a few times in the last couple months and it comes up. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Wait, were you at the DJ Kyle event?
I wasn't at the DJ Kyle event, but when I was at that Watch What Happens live party,
the 15th
beginning of the summer, that was right after it happened. And Craig was there and Kyle was there. So,
and then that was the week before all that crap blew up online about Kyle and Dumois and all of that stuff. So probably been a rough summer. Thank God Amanda has her bikini line. I think it's going now, which is exciting.
Yeah, and eyewear. She's doing some eyewear thing too.
Wow, slow down, Amanda. Too much all of a sudden. Last night in Los Angeles, I believe Giggly Squad did a live podcast, and guess who was in the audience, you guys?
Who?
Jax Taylor and Tom Schwartz.
Shut up.
And they stood up and, hey guys. And Jax was like, my friend Tom wants to ask a question. But then I didn't see the video on what question was asked. And you could tell the audience was like, it was like tepid applause. And then I saw one girl's face go, oh God. Oh God.
You know what Schwartz probably did, like a mumbly question, like a drunk person at BravoCon does when they get to the mic, because he cannot love Schwartz, but he cannot get a thought across cohesively. So
why do you keep trying to make Teddy Mellencamp happen?
Yeah, literally. Oh my God, that's funny.
Well, Okay, so Summer House, you got a lot of good. Wait, so when does that interview run, or is it already out?
I just posted it this morning. I wrote it this morning because my week was so crazy. I literally wrote it this morning. So I was up and at 'em over my coffee, wrote it, edited it. It's posted literally right before this. So go read it, everyone. There's fun stuff in there about her DMing Lindsay Lohan after recently running into her at Michael Kors.
What did she say to what did she DM to Lindsay Lohan?
She ran into Lindsay Lohan and got too scared to go up to her. So she DM'd her like, "Hi, I just saw you at Michael Kors. Like, you look incredible." And she was
Did Lindsay
like,
answer it?
Lindsay did not answer it. Not yet. Maybe she will. But she was like, when I saw her, it was very funny because Paige was like, I'm seeing all the footage of Lindsay. I'm like, she looks great. I'm like, oh, it must be like a Paris filter or Facetune. Then I saw her in person. I was like, no, she really looks like this. So it was a very funny little anecdote, but it's fun stuff like that. We talk about the Mormon wives, all the things. It's a fun interview.
Oh my
I
gosh.
do say so myself.
Yeah, we'll get to the Mormon wives in a second, but you also went to the premiere of the second season, or like the continuation of Real Housewives of New York, which I believe premieres October 1st, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
What was that? The setup looked beautiful with the apple orchard that they had set up. So you had to go there. Were you interviewing people on the carpet as well as enjoying the party?
Yeah, so it wasn't as big of a production as last year's like RHONY reband party, which makes sense because it's the second season. And it was also like Bravo's been doing those like fan experiences, which I haven't gone to any, like the watch parties or like that Diamonds and Rose pop-up in New York.
I went to the Diamonds and I'm interviewing the guy who set it up tomorrow, actually.
Okay.
And it's cute. I went to the LA one. I think the New York one's a little bigger, but it was cute. It was
okay.
Good. Was
yeah.
good.
I think it's actually right by my office, but I haven't gotten there yet. But this was similar to that, whereas the next day it was going to be open to fans to be able to like, go through the apple orchard, do the like tagline game. They had the promo look set up. So yeah, the beginning was a carpet. It was only 4 of them did the carpet.
Yeah, you had Uba, Rebecca Minkoff, the new housewife. Who else was there?
And Jessel was there. And the other new housewife, Raquel.
Wait, Brynn wasn't there?
Brynn was there, but did not do the carpet.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because I don't think they confirmed the names for the carpet until the day like before. So I don't think anyone like pulled out or anything, but I will say hearing rumblings of Brynn might have a tough season. So they might be rolling out maybe some of her press differently, or she might not be ready to walk random carpets this early.
Have you seen the premiere episode yet?
I haven't. They sent it out and then it was like not ready or whatever.
Oh, I know, Sarah. I got that email and I was like, hell yeah. And then I went to look at it that night and it wasn't there. And I was like, my link isn't working.
I know.
And she was like, no, it's coming. Because I was so excited to watch it.
I know.
So when you go into that situation and you haven't seen the premiere episode, are you just once again doing your research, looking at past Us Weekly articles that have done good? Jessel turned out to be a huge star. And nobody expected that from the first season. I mean, so are you going on vibes at that point?
Oh, that's so funny you say that about Jessel, because I'll get to that in a second. Yes, obviously, I'm one of the people who like, if I'm interviewing you about your book, like I'm gonna read your book, or skim it.
Me too,
I can't not. Like I get so nervous. There was one time I did an interview. This was years ago, and I can tell you it was with Captain Sandy, and I didn't watch the episode, and I thought I could BS my way through it. I could cry thinking about it. She was fine, honestly. I just like. I was not my questions were not making sense. I was like, it was not good. And I will never forget like that feeling of the first time I was unprepared, and I will never let myself be in that position again. You have to learn the hard way. It was literally like 2019. It was so long ago, but
Captain Sandy of all people.
I know,
she'll fire you.
Who did I think I was?
Immediately. Yeah.
I like dabble with Below Deck. Like I don't watch it regularly either. So like, I really don't know what I was thinking, but whatever. That's something I lie awake thinking at night about. So for this, when I don't have an episode to watch, I did roundup questions. So I asked like, who were you closest to at the start of the season? Who at the end of the season? Like, why did that change? I asked a very dumb question that I think will make a fun social video for them each to tell their worst experience with a pigeon because of that weird pigeon theme in the trailer.
Yeah.
In which Rebecca Minkoff brought up Jessica Alba within 5 seconds of that was in her pigeon story. So I was like, all right, that's good. We got a name drop. She was actually very nice and mingling a lot, Rebecca Minkoff.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people posting pictures with Rebecca, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff. I don't know if it'll be dealt with in the season. In fact, we saw a little tiny piece of it in the trailer about, I think she has a Scientology background.
Yeah.
And I don't know to what degree. When you're on that red carpet, are there instructions not to ask her about things like that?
No, there was no instructions for this. To be quite honest, there's like publicists around, but I will say about the RHONY women, new and old, and actually not as much the old RHONY women, but a section of RHONY women are very careful with their press. They're not as shady as a lot of other housewives. I think it's because they don't, this is going to sound bad because I want my housewives to need it and to want it. These women don't need it as bad. Like they like Uba, for example, like does not really take bait. Like she will make a joke, but she also is like, just watch the show. Like they don't really, I remember even talking to them last year, like Jenna Lyons, like does not like give in to your shady, like they don't really, they can have like Brynn can be messed. Like I'm not saying they're all not whatever, but in their press, they kind of protect each other. They're not quite as throwing people under the bus the way a different franchise might, for example.
I think they seem to be doing it a little bit on social because once that trailer got, I think it was Uba and Brynn kind of like exchanged some barbs socially online. But I always wonder if that's kind of a setup too, to get people kind of interested. I was noticing the Dubai ladies were doing it, and it's a way to kind of drum up some eyes potentially. So I always don't know whether I can trust those online fights.
You know, I think that's one way to look at it. I also think there's a way to look at it where these women don't think and post first. So I think most of it's natural. And a lot of it comes with, you know, probably like a slap on the wrist from the network half the time. Like it doesn't make Bravo's life easier always. Sometimes it does because it, you know, gets buzz, but other times it makes it, okay, you don't want to be in the same room as this person because of what they just tweeted. Like maybe don't. But one of the questions I also was asking is Us Weekly is getting ready for the Reality Stars of the Year issue, which we did the first one last year. Which Ariana? Wait,
is this your first cover story? Because you
that's
said,
not my, yeah,
okay,
that's not
you
the one
said
I
you
did.
had your first cover story coming out.
I did. That will be out the week after, which is very exciting. We shot it on Friday. But the Us Weekly reality issue comes out in a few weeks, and last year it was Ariana Madix, who was obviously like a very easy pick to pick for a reality star of the year. Like who else?
I've heard of Ariana. Yes,
right. So, and it also has a list of like I don't remember how many they're on it this year. I think last year we did 10, but we might have expanded it this year. Of just people who like made a difference made a name for themselves or had a moment in reality TV this year is kind of the theme of the list. And there's a cover star, but there's also a lot of people featured. And we're asking everyone, A-listers and reality stars, like who would you be picking the same way, you know, your people, your sexiest man alive. And I was actually next to people on the carpet who was asking people that. They were asking them that. And then I was asking them the reality star of the year. And a lot of them don't really watch reality TV, but Jessel immediately goes, well, am I featured? Am I on this list? Would I know yet? I should be on it. And I was like, okay, Jessel, like pitch yourself. She goes, I mean, the memes, people love me. It was so funny. The way she immediately went into, wait a minute, like, am I on the list? Like, just like thinking, and as you said, like she's a fan favorite, people, whatever. And she knows. So that was funny.
Wait, okay. So and by the way, you guys, you listen at home, I actually get to work this Us Weekly reality show red carpet in Los Angeles in a couple. I got invited to work. And by the way, Sarah, I was going to ask for your advice because I'm like, this is one of the first red carpets I've ever done. Well, and I'm so excited to do this. Oh, hello. Oh, you just froze up.
Oh, we froze.
Oh, you just froze up for a second. Okay. I was like, okay, I'm coming. And then you froze. I was like, oh, she just got off the phone once I said I was coming. Wow, that's great.
No. Okay, sorry.
Go ahead. But I'm so excited to do this Us Weekly event. When do we find out who is the #1 reality star of the year?
I don't know when you get to find out. I assume you find out when the issue comes out, which is the day before the party.
Oh my God.
But you might find out earlier. I'll do some digging. I will be at the party as well. I'm going to be in LA for 24 hours. So we will mix and mingle on the carpet and inside. But I've seen the list of names that are confirmed and it's evolving, but it's going to be good.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so we got Summer House, we got RHONY premiering, and then I will say, just because we have to touch on it every week here, is Vanderpump Rules and The Valley. The Valley is finished filming their second season. Vanderpump Rules is tentatively starting to have rumors that it's going to start in like a month, potentially. There was also rumors that they are shooting something else with new cast members at SUR, which I just thought that was a sizzle reel to maybe entice production companies or to entice Bravo. So who knows? I don't know if you've heard anything about like what that actually is they're shooting.
I haven't. I agree with you. I think they're definitely, as they've said like a million times, like exploring all the options and like Vanderpump Rules pre-Scandal and obviously post-Scandal, it has been a huge hit for this network. Lisa Vanderpump has 75 shows at this point. And I think Bravo wants to keep her the way, she's expanding to Hulu. She's doing all these different things. I think they would with the success of The Valley, would only want to do another show. I would be surprised. I know like James Kennedy would commented on that one post, like, don't believe everything you read, when it was like they're trying to phase them out.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to literally see what happens. Like, I think they're going to try to film with this group of people. I remember a while ago when I was here and you were like, what are they going to do? And I'm like, they're going to do nothing. They're going to keep them all. Everyone needs to relax. And I think that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
I think they're going to give them another shot to kind of, not that the last season was a total fail, just like figure it out. We have new blood in with the Toms and their girlfriends. We have more time to heal. We've had some movement. People will probably be able to be in the same room again. I think it will be compelling to watch. And I don't think they want to get rid of these people anytime soon, but I think they have to see, okay, is this going to be a 13 episode show and not always 24? And then maybe we fill the other slots with a new generation of people.
Yeah, it's kind of an insurance policy in a little bit of a way. And, lightning sometimes can strike twice. You never know, depending on the actual relationships of whatever people they're shooting with. But yeah, I'm hearing the same thing about they're going to try it again. And I think even Ariana is going to try it again. I mean, allegedly. So we'll see, even though I was kind of hoping she would just kind of go off into the brilliant sunset because she's doing so many amazing, cool things. But I understand also getting a nice paycheck for, trauma. But we had Lala has her baby Soza. Sheena had I wish cameras were up on Sheena this past week. Her car got stolen right in front of her house. Did you see that?
I did. Sheena, the week of Dancing with the Stars premiering, instead of being in the ballroom, she gets her car stolen. I mean, justice for Sheena.
I didn't even put the dance. Wait, by the way, if Anna Delvey can be on Dancing with the Stars, why can't Sheena? And people were arguing with me of like, Sheena is nowhere near as popular. I'm like, but wait, if you have some of those people, I'm sorry, Sheena could totally do it. And the clip package could like do a troll of all the time she said about wanting to be on Dancing with the Stars. I think Sheena genuinely could be on Dancing with the Stars.
I think she should, and I think she will one day. I don't know this at all as a fact, but if you just look at the way Dancing with the Stars casting works, there's very much like slots to fill. Like a certain number of celebrities are always going to be like ABC affiliated. So that's why like your Bachelors and stuff are easy to slide in there. They're already in with Warner Brothers. And then they're going to have an actor that's like, you're going to have your Tori Spelling, you're like, actor that's like recognizable and maybe like a little messy. You're going to have someone older. You're going to have an athlete. You're going to have someone who's controversial, which is your Anna Delvey. Like you're going to have someone younger.
Sarah, is that mean now if this worked with Anna Delvey, is it going to be like now every season we have a criminal? Like, is this opening the doors for criminals?
I mean, this is nothing new for Dancing with the Stars. They've had like the football players that have been accused of the worst crimes on this program.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
They've had, politicians that have been quite controversial. They've had, there's plenty. Dancing with the Stars loves redemption. It loves getting people talking. They had Carol Baskin on. Like, this is not like new. Obviously, this is maybe the first time we've had an ankle monitor convicted felon in the ballroom, but it's not like they've ever shied away from picking someone because they're not brand safe. Like, this is a show that they always like someone on it who's a little controversial, get people talking, get the ratings up. So it doesn't surprise me at all. It surprises me that people are surprised. I'm like, remember when Ray Lewis was on the program? Like people forget.
Well, but also I think, and what I'm curious about when they start doing the voting this week is like Anna Delvey. For all of us, I always say to the audience, we're all plugged in. We know Anna Delvey. We've watched the Netflix. We've seen all of the stuff. But like for people like when my parents used to watch it, they would have no clue who Anna Delvey is because they're not on Twitter. They're not like scrounging the internet at all. So my curiosity is, will Anna Delvey stay around, or is like the Heartland and stuff like, I don't even know who this person is to even vote for.
She'll get a few episodes in and that'll be all she needs. It's that show also, it's genius in its like formula because it is fan voted, and like you get the premiere is like you get people locked in and you get people invested, and there's always like one or two, like an athlete or someone that might surprise you because they genuinely become a good dancer and they'll get votes or maybe win. But then you have like the Bachelor fans who are going to always vote. You have like,
which is a strong voting block. Bachelor Nation is a strong voting block.
It should be interesting that they have to split it with Joey and Jen. Joey overall a more popular Bachelor, but Jen just coming off a finale where she was scorned. I'm very curious.
With the Devin stuff will be, Joey should invite Devin in the audience just to throw Jen on her performance.
Oh my God. But Joey's like the nice boy who saved The Bachelor. Like he would never, if it was one of those recent Bachelors, but not Joey. He's like golden boy these days. So it's always, I think Dancing with the Stars works itself out. You get someone controversial. They do a few episodes. They're not usually that good at dancing. So then it works itself out that people don't have to like feel like they need to vote for them. And then you focus on, and then by the end, you're usually left with like 4 pretty solid people that hit a couple blocks of life. But with someone like Sheena, you have Phaedra, who's like your NBC, whatever. They don't usually do too many big networks. So I think that's probably why. I think the way they did Ariana last year, the way they did Phaedra this year, Phaedra was on like 6 shows. She makes sense. She's a great cast.
Which, by the way, that's my prediction for Us Weekly Reality Star of the Year, Phaedra, because I will say Dancing with the Stars, Traitors, Married to Medicine, and now coming back to Atlanta. That's a pretty solid choice for Reality Star of the Year.
That's a good math.
I think that would be, and Mercedes Javid, who I was on Jeff Lewis with this week, she went to support Phaedra on the opening night of Dancing with the Stars, and she was there with Johnny Bananas and Tamra, and Mercedes cracks me up because she was like, Tori Spelling didn't dance. And I was like, really? Because I only watched Anna Delvey and Phaedra perform. I just was fast forwarding. And I was like, she's like, yeah. And then a caller called in and was like, Tori definitely danced. We watched her dance. And Mercedes goes, I must have been in the bathroom at that time. I'm like, you didn't ask when you came back from the bathroom? Who? And then I was joking, you should have come back in that Trader's jeans outfit. Like when she came in, like when she was spying, I was like, God, you should have worn that. But she said, it was so exciting. Like just being there is such a production. And Phaedra's just seems like she's obviously a great person to work with, or NBC Universal wouldn't keep using her the way they're using her right now.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, she's always a delight to interview. It's just funny to think about like where we were many years ago when she left Atlanta. Like everything comes full circle. It's pretty crazy.
Right? Which, by the way, I wonder in Atlanta this season, since Kandi isn't on, I wonder if that will still be brought up at all, because I still would love to see that conversation between Kandi and Phaedra at some point, because Phaedra was definitely in the wrong, but I do believe in forgiveness and redemption. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if Kandi will ever have that conversation. She seemed pretty like, I will never be on this show with Phaedra again. You never know, though. People say things like that and then they come back. But I could see, Portia or someone just like casually bringing it up, and it's there. Bravo doesn't usually shy away from what's going on, I feel like.
Okay, one more thing about Vanderpump Rules in the Valley. Sheena got her car stolen. I don't know if it was Jax or not, because Jax and Brock, they kind of had a little tiff online.
Oh, did they?
Because Jax responded to some Instagram comment about like, something about Brock. And Jax just wrote, "Who's Brock?" And Brock screenshotted that, put it in his stories. He's like, "Hey, mates, you know who I am. I'm the guy that picked up your kid while you were in rehab to take him to school." He like went real messy with it. And I was like, and at the same time, like messy, but I'm like, Jax, why are you even like, if you want forgiveness, if you're on a new path to recovery, why are you doing any, like, I've noticed Jax's social media in the last week has gotten like weirdly confusing again and messy, where he's like, "Hey, I'm getting Brittany's Halloween decorations out from storage. My work's never done." And I'm like, what are you talking about? Brittany then goes online and will say things like, "I don't want anything to do with him right now. He's a great dad, horrible husband." So I don't know where the truth lies, but you can never trust anything that Jax says or does.
I mean, I think that's where the truth lies. I think Jax is Jax is Jax is Jax is Jax. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be, what version of Jax are we on right now? I don't know, but insert it here. Like, I don't believe he will ever truly change. I do believe that he is a decent dad to his kid. Like, I think if he wasn't, I don't think Brittany would make that effort. I think she's at a point now where she's like really done, which is interesting, because I don't know if we all as fans really thought she was going to get there, to be honest. So that's going to be fascinating to watch, I think, on the show, as now that we've known her for a while. But I think that if there was any question in his ability to be around the kids, she would pull back. Like, why wouldn't she? But she's clearly making an effort for that. So that's a redeeming quality. But the rest, I mean, actions speak louder than words with Jax Taylor since we met him in 2013. Like, he still is doing things he was doing back then on Twitter. So like, it's crazy.
I went back and watched the first season of Vanderpump for my Patreon recently, and I was like, it is only changed in like the only
insert
thing that's
woman's
changed,
name here.
Well, and a house instead of an
Yeah.
apartment. Like that's it. And you're just like, wow, he's been saying the same things since 2013. But I was just kind of hoping, since he made news out of his official diagnosis
Right.
in this mental health rehab facility, that he would really take that seriously and say, I'm going to put, what I was hoping was that he was going to really put that hard work in, because it's got to be a really scary place to like try to understand your mental, your chemistry of your brain. And that I was just hoping that, and then I saw some of the posts and I was like, God, this seems like the stuff you shouldn't do if this is the diagnosis, just to like give yourself the best foot forward.
Yeah, I mean, from everything I've heard, and Us Weekly ran a story on this that I reported out a little bit about the taping of the Valley reunion, and Jack's post-treatment. From what I heard from a few different sources, is it's not a coincidence that Brittany officially filed shortly after he left. It was very apparent that there was not much change being done after this treatment, and that he has been spending a lot of time with a lot of different women, in which he's free to do since he is single, but also in a way where, is that really what you should be prioritizing right now? In a way where Jax is gonna Jax, is sort of what I've heard.
And he's showing off his himself. He's showing off his new condo and how neat it looks, and he lives right down the hall from Tom Schwartz.
That's a dangerous duo.
Yeah, it's like Tom Sandoval's like, oh, dude, I got to get into this place, man. This is awesome.
That is like so dark at its core. The three of them at all ending up in like the same divorced or ending of long-term relationships in which they had any sort of like moment.
Isn't it kind of fitting to see people like Ariana, people like Stassi, people maybe even like Brittany that are like kind of going for the gold? Like, Stassi just released her third book. She has 2 new reality shows coming out. Like, women are always able to, like, they have more pain than men, I believe, because sometimes of men, but then they're able to rise above. And I think those are the stories that we should really champion. But it's so much more fun to watch the mess of the men.
It's also crazy to think about how long we've been watching these men on television. Like, I don't think any of us saw that coming necessarily. But yes, that is a good way to spin it. Or even Katie, who has, really thrived post Schwartz. Like, it's thank God, it would just be too dark and sad if all of these examples didn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, if they were all still being dragged down, we might hit a wall with these people. But watching some of them, especially the women, flourish after leaving these relationships, and watching the men kind of stay at the same spot is dark but accurate. Like, it's fascinating. Honestly. People are on television.
Oh my God, Katie looks like Teflon now. Like, I always crack, because I was watching that first season and it was when she believed Jax over Stassi in terms of the cheating allegation. Katie now, Katie's just like, F off. Like, Katie is like, I feel like bulletproof. She has a scowl on her face the entire time, but it's like a knowing scowl, like, because she's like, I don't buy anybody's shit anymore. The only thing I worry about Katie is that I know she went to that Limp Bizkit concert because she's friends with the guitarist Wes Borland. And I was like, are you dating Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit? Like, I went through a thing with that.
I could see she would probably.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, it's in that kind of music that she likes. Yeah. We had the premiere this week of the Golden Bachelorette. Golden Bachelorette is Joan this year from Gary's season of the Golden Bachelor. What did you think of the first episode?
I thought it was great. My only complaint is last year they made the Golden Bachelor an hour, and I thought that was some of the most genius thing ABC ever did. And now we're back to 2 hours. So I don't love that for everyone involved, but I do think we got to know a lot of the men in the first episode. I think Joan is a perfect choice for this because her body is insane. She is gorgeous, and that's not the only reason, but she is literally like a bachelorette. But I have spoken with Joan. She is like talking to your mom, like she in like the best way. Like, she's so normal. She's so like in awe of even what she's doing. Like, there's that like naivete, whatever the word is. Joan, but there's also like strength, and she's been through it. I mean, her husband died of cancer. Her mother is 90 something and still alive. So she's dealing with that part of her life. She has kids. She has grandkids. She's super down to earth and normal, but also like looks like a supermodel. And
by the way, Joan looks better now than she did when she was younger. Did you see that? I'm like, she looks really good. Not the body, just the you said, Sarah, the face. I mean, it's the whole package.
No, she's literally like gorgeous and like, again, just so normal and like lovely to talk to. I think, it's such an interesting show to cast. I think that it must be wild for the casting people. It's different vibes. But so far, I mean, the men on the first episode were quite lovely. And I was worried. I thought, do I want to watch like 24 old men like sitting around and like, what are they going to talk about? And do I care? But they were all very quickly bonding with each other. They were making fun of each other. They were laughing. They were talking about their kids. Like, it was kind of like the best versions of like your dad. You know what I mean? Like, at least it was edited that way. Like, I thought they were quite endearing. I thought Joan did a great job. And I'm actually really excited. I think it's going to be good. I think it's what the show needs after like these toxic Bachelor finales. They need these like pure moments from the Golden cast. And I have high hopes.
Well, this brought me back to the Bachelor franchise because I love the Golden Bachelor. I mean, I got so emotional every episode. And right immediately within the first 3 minutes when Joan was telling her story about her husband and her husband getting sick, like they know what they're doing. They immediately had a Casey Musgrave song into a Phil Collins. The music budget is off the chain. And then each one of these men had a story, and just even talking from my dad and them talking about loneliness and older, like to me, there's just so much more at stake. And there's such a solid foundation of these people. Like we still believe in love. And I think that message sometimes gets completely lost on The Bachelor and Bachelorette and even Love Island in a sense. Cause you're like, at the end of the day, you're going to have your Instagram, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But these people, it really seems to mean something. And for me, when you're watching something that means something and you don't even realize it, like they trick you into watching it and then it means something, that's excellent,
Yeah, the stakes feel higher. It's like, I'm older, I have grandkids I want to spend time with, I have whatever, and this is how I'm choosing, to spend my night, my days. Like the stakes are higher. It's also, they're not as savvy into what a reality TV edit might mean. I don't think many of them are coming in with crazy intentions. I'm sure some of them maybe have, more knowledge than others, but I think for the most part, they have daughters or someone in their life who signed them up for the show, and they're showing up like, what do you mean we have to stay up all night while she hands out these roses? And what do you mean this like food isn't real? Like, I think there's so much that you can't get. I always say now, like reality stars who come on and like lose their mind over their edit or blame the edit or act like whatever. It's like, in 2024, I have a little less sympathy for you when you have years of other people who came before you and kind of warned you that this could happen, what you're signing away, the good or the bad. With these people, it's that part is taken away a little bit, and it makes it just a pure, more like experiment and like something to watch with less. And I'm not saying I don't even dislike the people that are on the show for the quote unquote the wrong reasons half the time. Like, I'm good with drama. I'm fine with it. But it's just a different thing to watch. And it's something they can't replicate on other shows right now because they're not 65 years old. Like, everybody knows how reality TV works now besides that generation. So it's kind of genius.
And it got solid ratings, as Dancing with the Stars actually got solid ratings as well. Now, moving on, because it has been a huge month for Mormons. Really big in the we had Secret Lives of Mormon Wives on Hulu, which, what did you think of that?
Oh, I mean, I loved it.
Loved it. There's a rumor that they already started filming this past week. I don't know if that is true or not, but the big rumor this weekend is that Taylor, Frankie Paul, and Dakota have broken up. And Dakota left some TikTok comment on Emily Schwartz's TikTok saying like, stay tuned, which I always get nervous when somebody says stay tuned, because I'm like, are you playing the reality show game already? Like, is this a breakup for filming or is this a real breakup? What are you hearing?
Okay, I have to be careful here.
Okay.
What I can say is there will be answers to a lot of those questions you just asked on usmagazine.com very soon.
Woo! Wait. You got to be careful here. Could this possibly be your first cover story?
That's not it either. That's not it either.
Oh man. Okay.
For me personally, but there is going to be an abundance of Mormon wife content rolling out very soon, in which you will have some questions answered.
It's been a minute since I've actually watched a new reality show through and go, oh, I'm ready for a second season already. And that's a really good sign. So I think they knocked it out of the park in a lot of ways.
I think so too. And I think there's so much they haven't tapped into. I think it must have been a very interesting show to edit because you're dealing with Some of them are more well known is like not really a good word for this, but like
Whitney and Taylor,
have followings, or like the mom talk scandal, the swinging scandal, the RSV of it all. Those were viral moments that have played out in the media and on TikTok, but there's also like obviously a huge group of people that they're trying to reach that have no idea who these people are. So they had to be very careful, and because of the fact that half of them look alike, they had to be very careful with what they presented us with, and with like the storylines, and making sure we were only following certain things, because it was so much to wrap your head around, in a way where the origin of the show, this swinging scandal, is not even really what's on the show.
Oh yeah, none of these girls are even involved in this swinging scandal except for Taylor.
As reality producers, like, one, how do you not use that? You want to know. Two, that's a way to get those people in, but then you have to explain it to the people that don't know what it is, and then you're introducing 8 cast members, which is a lot. There's not always 8 housewives at the start of a season who again look alike and have several like ex-husbands and different things running around. So it's a lot to introduce an audience to. So I think they did a great job focusing on Taylor, who ends up kind of becoming someone you're rooting for, focusing on Whitney, who has, is your villain character, is someone who the audience can follow through her perspective of meeting these women, but then they're all coming together. But the fact that there's so much they didn't touch on, with Macy having, a husband
story with who passed away.
Her boyfriend at the time when she was pregnant at 19 passed away. She has another very complicated relationship she's kind of hinted at. You have obviously Demi, who has Brett, who's much older and was married to Angie H. They also, like, he almost was on The Bachelor for Claire Crawley's season. They didn't touch on any of that. You have
then you have Michaela has some. Well, I got to interview 4 of them, and like Michaela, the illness, but also her story, and she's one that's not involved in the church anymore.
Yeah,
these little details where I'm just like, oh, you've got plenty for the second season, and it's so smart they have 8 now, because if Whitney doesn't want to film, which she said at the premiere, she did not think she would do a second season, but then
I think
she is going to do a second. Oh yeah, even she was teasing it on TikTok of like, doing some sound that said, oh, maybe I might.
It could give very Stassi season 4 Vanderpump Rules vibes, where she's not there at the beginning and then halfway through like comes back and like makes like a moment and is kind of like a friend technically, but like isn't, and works her way back in. I could see it going that way. But I mean, there's just so much to tap into there. Obviously, like the Jen Affleck of it all, like.
By the way, we did a story last week where it comes out that the guy might not be related to Ben Affleck after all, after they made a big deal of him being like third cousins with Ben Affleck.
Turns out that might not be the case. Take the bait for once and give us what we want and comment on the program. Like he every once in a while will like get down and dirty and like a Dunkin' ad and make a joke about like sad Ben, but like he doesn't play the game the way that I want Ben Affleck to, since he doesn't even have an Instagram. Like I need Ben to be on like the Tonight Show and have them be like, have you ever seen these, like, joke about it. Like, come on, Ben, give us what we want. You are kind of becoming the villain in the Bennifer breakup. Like, come back to us and make a joke about
breakup. They're hanging out now every couple of days. They even just hung out this past weekend. And then I was talking to Aaron and Sarah Foster on Friday.
Yeah.
And she, I think it was Sarah, or it was Aaron said, she was walking in right behind them at the Beverly Hills Hotel a week and a half ago when they were walking in with their families. And I was like, was there hand holding? What's going on? I shouldn't be saying this right now. Save it for the interview. But she was like, no, there was no hand holding, but she's like, it was very familiar. The families were there and all of that
I really
stuff.
think it's about the kids. I think they blended these families, and I think they are panicking about unblending them. And I don't think they're getting back together. I don't. Personally,
I'm going to sue them if they get back together. It is like, you can't keep doing this to us.
Which I know you're going to talk about it in your interview, obviously, with Aaron and Sarah, but Nobody Wants This is so freaking good.
So fucking good. I told the audience on Saturday, I said, you guys you're going to burn through these 10 episodes. I even told them, I was like, man, usually I'll watch 2 episodes. It'll be good. And then the third one tanks and like, it just gets bad. The whole thing kept getting better. I was loved it. Well, and that's what I was, we both know, and if you don't work in the industry, just that the fact that anything gets made is shocking because of how many things can go wrong. And even if your show gets out there, it doesn't mean it's like a good show, even though a lot of work went into it. This is a good show. And Erin Voss, I mean, she knows, she's like, dude, that was like the 4th thing we pitched. We didn't even think, that's just the industry. It's so hard. So to have it at this level, you guys are going to be, I think, kind of really blown away by it. Adam Brody. Oh my God. Kristen Bell.
They're perfect. literally perfect as a duo, as a on-screen romance, as a like everyone always says like the rom-com's dead, yada yada. Like I don't even subscribe to that necessarily, but as far as on a television show, like it's not even really will they won't they, because it's like, and that's not even really a spoiler, but like that arc of like a first season where you laugh, but you're also so invested in these characters, and something that could come across as very cheesy doesn't, something that could come across as like corny comes across as smart. Like it hits everything you want in like a rom-com, but in a show, so you get so much more of it. And Adam and Kristen are just, I mean, like, it's to the price of no one.
And then the
like
supporting characters, Timothy Simons from Veep, Jackie Tone. Like, I know you guys haven't seen it yet.
What's her name?
Oh, God, I just said it the other day because I was like, did she follow you around?
She plays like the Sarah Foster character.
She plays the Sarah Foster. Yeah, she's so good. She played what's his name's wife, Alan Ruck's wife in Succession.
The oldest Succession sibling's wife.
Good.
Willa in Succession, but I don't remember her real
Something
name.
Loopy. Loop is the last name. L-U-P-E. I forgot the first. Okay, so anyways, check out that, you guys. But anyways, so Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, I think, is potentially filming, if not almost ready to film. But the other thing that's big for Mormons this week is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City had their 5th season premiere. And I did this story on Saturday in my OC recap, but in case you didn't listen to it, I was really shocked because I really geek out over TV ratings. This was the lowest rated episode, not season premiere, episode of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City ever.
Well,
and
it was
that
Wednesday, right?
Shocks me. It was, yeah. So this was only same day viewing. It does not incorporate DVR, Peacock, anything like that.
Well, I bring that up for 2 reasons. One, Wednesday night was the premiere of Survivor, which is literally CBS has the world on a lock with Survivor. Like, it's crazy. That was the high that won the night. Survivor, Golden Bachelorette, and Salt Lake City. So those are a lot of overlap with amongst people. Like my coworkers who get half these episodes early were in a panic of what to do. So I think Survivor is something people watch live at the risk of getting spoiled for who gets voted out. I think that Golden Bachelorette had, a lot of ads and was very well promoted, and also something people were excited about. And I think Salt Lake City, there's a lot of Bravo fans that just don't, like, not us, obviously, and not even, like, there's some older Bravo fans that I feel like don't watch anything that premiered after a certain point.
I know.
And it's crazy because, like, why keep watching like a bad season of whatever here and not like, I also think Salt Lake City has established itself where you think the reality of Antista of it all was their Scandival, was there, like, that got so much press, obviously, mainstream pickup. I do think that a lot of people watch their just Housewives on Peacock. But I don't know. I don't, anyone who's not watching. Also, I think that I was talking about this at the RHONY party with Emily Schwartz and with a couple other creators that were there. How genius was it for Hulu to put in Wives in their title? Like, there are casual reality TV
which means
viewers.
SEO, like SEO, if you're searching, Wives is going to come up Salt Lake City Housewives. So they're going to be able to feed off that promotion.
And I mean, it's so hard for me to get into this headspace since obviously I don't think about any of this casually, but the casual reality viewer doesn't even know that Housewives are streaming on Peacock and other shows are on Hulu. They're looking, they're like, oh, is this one of those Andy Cohen shows? It has wives in it. I guarantee you half the people who sat down to watch Secret Lives of Mormon Wives thought they were watching something like The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Well, and by the way, in a way, they kind of are, just with a younger set of people.
Yeah.
Like this could have been a Bravo show very easily. The production budget was insane. But what did you think of the premiere of Salt Lake City?
I thought it was incredible. I
Hysterical.
I think that the Salt Lake City women have this perfect balance. At least they have it right now and have had it so far. And I worry because it's a very thin line of being able to hit below the belt, go there, be pretty crazy and petty, but still show up the next day. And a lot of Housewives franchises don't do that. I think it's because they are still quote unquote newer and they still feel that like I have to show up to work, and I hope they never lose it because they do go pretty below the belt. And I think a lot of things they say to each other on other shows, they're not showing up the next day. They're not talking about forgiveness this soon. They're, going to refuse to film. And I say that with all hopes that they never go there. But I think that that's a difference, that they show up and they will, make the biggest deal of something small, which they need to, like bathtubs and bath bombs. But they're still going to show up the next day, which is the only way to keep a franchise going successfully.
No, I mean, I thought it was great. And especially the reality of that situation is I got a lot of comments of like, I'm not watching it because Monica's not back. And that's just
Oh, I hate
sacrilege.
that.
And by the way, I understand what they're saying, and I'm disappointed as well because I think part of it is you want to see, like, I want to see her like answer more questions about it. I want to see her get like be given a hard time. Like, I would have loved that, but we don't have that. And I was kind of shocked how well they moved on without Monica. And it was kind of like Bronwyn, the new cast member, was great. The Melly, and then I'm blanking on what was her name. What was the other friend of that had the rolls that kept putting? She said she put rolls in her purse.
I cannot remember
Tiffany?
her name either. There was a lot of character introduction in costumes, so it was like hard.
And she disgusted Mary Cosby. Mary Cosby having some of the funniest lines of the night, and then ending with 3 housewives on one, all going against Whitney, which to me, my highest compliment I can give a show of like when it reminds me of old RHONY, when they would just talk over each other, and they were, if you paid attention to a different character, you'd get a different like feel of the scene. And I loved it. And Whitney going, here's my healing journey. Fuck you, Lisa Barlow.
Hello.
And I was like, hell yeah, Whitney, do it. And Lisa's like, you can leave. How dare you? And then Meredith says, this is the worst thing a housewife has ever said to me or done to me in regards to Angie K, I believe. And then I'm like, wait a sec. Lisa Barlow 2 seasons ago said you fuck half of New York and that your family's a big bunch of effing posers. And that's the most hurtful thing. Like, these people have such short memories.
That's what I mean, in the sense that they can act like something is the end of the world. They are the highest drama, the highest petty, the below the belt. And then they insert something else here. Like right now, it's like everyone on Whitney, they were naming things that happened years ago, as she was saying. But then like last season, what happened 3 years ago would have never even crossed their mind. Like they're very in the moment. They are very like, it's like when you're in high school and everything's the biggest deal. That's who they are. But then they still show up the next day. And I did go back as a journalist this morning, and I listened to the Vile Files episode that Whitney was on that led Lisa Barlow to say, I don't like podcasts, in which she does say Lisa Barlow's the villain. So like, let's not worry about not getting Monica back. But other than that, she doesn't really say anything else. Like, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought.
That's what I loved, because Lisa was not giving specifics. Like, she's not giving it. And she's like, I did a 2-hour interview. I talked not just about you. And like, Lisa wouldn't. So I was like, did somebody just tell Lisa, which is such a Lisa thing to just like go off and not having listened to it. And I will say once again, bravo. I know some of you people listen. Please, just for once, can I be the podcast they fight about? Please, just once. I know, like, I try to be nice, but can I just get one dirty comment in there somewhere to fight about?
I know that Nick Viall, the Bachelor himself, has really found himself into reality and Bravo these days.
I mean, they give, and not even that. It's just, and you know how this works. They let him get into the minutia where sometimes with me, or maybe, and I think probably with you as well, there's a list of rules. And once you do the interview, they can still go, cut that out, cut that out, cut that out. They just let him leave in everything. So it's like, and I know it's because, you know, he's huge, he's big, but man, it's sometimes so frustrating because you're like, man, I would love to get into those conversations.
Yeah, podcasts are fascinating, in which who gets who and for how long and for what exclusivity window, and that's a whole other thing to dive into.
We need to get on a reality show just so we can make our podcast more successful.
Yeah,
that's the way to break in.
I mean, as in the sorts of traditional media too, with like Us Weekly, like it's very interesting just to see where the things fly. But again, a whole other combo.
We got about 10 more minutes here, and I've not even hit half the stories. Just a couple quick things, really, really quick. We had, I do want to say the Diddy thing. I did a whole hour and a half episode reading over all the court documents, the bail denial. How is Us Weekly choosing to cover the Diddy story? Because there is, what I'm noticing also is everybody now going back and finding past Diddy interviews on talk shows, interviews where he talks about, you know, what could be the freak off party. The Justin Bieber conversation has now entered the chat again, where we're watching clips of Justin and Diddy interacting, where it looks very sad. And I don't know if we're just reading into these things. How do you guys as an organization decide to cover something that's this serious?
Oh, I mean, it's like so heavy and so dark, and it's so bad. It definitely becomes easier to cover to some degree when you are arrested and indicted and there's real documents. It was very hard. I feel like the world was frustrated to some degree of where is more coverage on Diddy after like the raid and everything. But you can't speculate about very, very serious crimes. Like, it's not like it's very difficult to, it's not a surprise that the New York Times was the first one to break when Diddy was finally arrested. Like, this is not an easy thing to report out on. Even if you do get the information, it's not a very easy thing to publish. There are very high profile lawyers involved. These are very serious crimes to accuse someone of without having your own evidence. This is why people like the FBI are the ones getting this evidence. You know what I mean? So I think that's the first part of it. Then the floodgates open once arrests are made, because you have just legally more room to report and to investigate and to cover things like resurfaced clips. I think the Bieber stuff, we don't touch until it would be coming from Bieber's mouth. He was a minor at the time. It's very speculative. It's not our place or our story to tell unless he wants it to be told. That said, Diddy's got a lot of A-list friends. It's going to be very interesting. He is going to have to make probably some big decisions. I'm no lawyer, in which he decides whether he wants to take a plea deal to maybe protect some of those famous friends. If he does not, if this goes to trial, certain things will be redacted, I'm sure, but more will come out in trial of who was at these parties, what really went down, and all that stuff. These are decisions that Diddy and his team and his lawyers and whatever will have to make on who they want to protect, on what is right, what they think they can get away with or what they think they can win in court. It's a lot. And I mean, in these situations, a lot of times the plea deal is your only hope to protect any sort of quote unquote legacy or world in which you have. I mean, if this goes to trial, I can't imagine it would at all go in his favor in the court of public opinion, let alone behind bars. The fact that they won't let him, post bail says a lot about the information that they have.
Yeah, I mean, and this is, documented, but they go to arrest him. He has drugs in his room. He had pink cocaine in his room. I'm like, how daft. And I know they had arranged for it to be on a Tuesday, and they went ahead and picked him up Monday night, which they must have had some information that they needed to get him on, like a surprise, and TMZ released video of that. But it will really be interesting to see all of the details that come out, because, we have one victim that's alluded to. We have 50 witnesses, and there's a lot more, I think, to come. So that's going to be very, very interesting. But it's a very sad story for these victims. Shout out to Cassie. Without her, all of this wouldn't really happen. And then I will say, I was talking to journalism students and media students at ASU this week, and we were talking about journalistic standards. And now it's such a murky area, because, you guys follow those practices, but now you go on TikTok, everybody's a journalist, everybody's a self-proclaimed journalist, and they're putting out things that I think are so dangerous, and you cannot prove, there's no documentation, and they're just going on vibes. How scary is that for you, who's actually somebody that, like, I got to have these facts lined up before I can go to print?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fascinating. I wonder if, they ever get any legal ramifications. I guess if something blows up too big, I always just thank the Us Weekly lawyers for their service, in which they know what would, protect, and what is a strong enough source or background, and how to proceed with caution and do it in a responsible way. That I, as someone who's always done this as part of an organization, I look at a lot of individual creators. Sometimes I'm jealous. I'm like, wow, you can really say whatever you want, and that's so cool. Other times I'm like, wow, you can really say whatever you want, and good luck with that. So I'm good with going it this way, and doing it the more traditional sense. But it's interesting. I mean, we have those conversations. You see something and you say, oh, like, this is what the narrative is. And we have to say, well, as journalists and people who are putting things in print, in which people are taking it as fact, like, we can't speculate. So do you lose page views? Sure. But do you hopefully keep integrity and an audience who will trust you? Yes.
Well, I want to preserve trusted sources. Like, I want to actually be able to know the closest thing to the truth that's possible.
Yeah.
And I've seen it just on, like, small scales with, like, Bravo rumors, and how that stuff can go around. And then 80% of the time, it's not true at all. And that's the frustrating thing. Finally, today, I want to leave you with, and I know you're not caught up on OC, but Alexis Bellino is a friend of this season, and she's dating Johnny J. If you haven't heard, John Jansen, Shannon Bedore's ex. She had enough this weekend and posted a day ago. This is her quote. I just want to let everyone know that what you're seeing in my career is not real. It's not the truth. There has been so much left out intentionally to paint me in a bad light. It's okay. I'll take one for the team to get ratings for this business, but I will live in truth and I will bring the truth. Whatever I have to do here on my Instagram page, or if this career I chose decides to bring the truth out, either way, it will come out. And you will also see the true Alexis, because what you're seeing on your TV right now is not me. I love you all, and I do not hate you for hating me, because I would hate me too if I were you. But just hang tight. I'll be speaking the truth after every episode of what has been left out intentionally to paint me as someone I don't even know. It will actually intrigue you all. And then 3 heart emojis. Live recaps of the truth starting from episode 1 coming ASAP on my IG. And by the way, thank you to my glam squad for this pick. So that
Priscilla.
Yeah, she did tag her glam squad. So I didn't know if she was announcing a live podcast, but I guess she's just going to go live on live on her Instagram. But like, you're a friend of, and what did you expect was going to happen? Like, how would you ever think other than what actually is happening happen? And I'm telling you, Sarah, Us Weekly, this better not be reality star of the year, Alexis Bellino. I'm telling you guys, we're going to have words, Us Weekly and me, if this is the star of the year.
It's not. I feel comfortable that I won't get in trouble to say it's not. But I agree with you. Obviously, I'm like 1 episode or 2 behind, but I mean, I know the narrative, and I don't know if this is true or not. It might be, was that Alexis was in talks before she started dating John. I don't know if that's true.
She said
whether
that.
It is or not. This is someone who is not new to Housewives. This is someone who knows how Bravo works. This is someone who knows she's dating the ex of a very beloved, by the way, part of the franchise. It's not like Shannon was some villain that she was, getting to like victimize John, and then she was like saving him. Like Shannon is very much like the star of Orange County, in my opinion. So to go to be like, it just makes no sense. Like, there was no foresight. She might have, thought it would be a little less pile on or whatever, but it makes no sense. You don't sign up for that. I was hoping she was going to sign up and just like lean into it, because why else do it?
Yeah, write it out. And for you to then make that post, it just like it exacerbates the situation. She locked comments, which is another not great thing. And it's like, you had to have known you're doing this in hopes of getting a full-time spot. You know what a friend of is. We can't see the 360 of your life. That's just not what a friend of is. They're going to use you as a piece against Shannon. And you had to have known that. John Jansen had to have known that. It is so weird to me.
He's been on the show for the last 3 years. Like, what did they...
Oh, and he says they ruined his reputation. This is ruining his reputation. This to me is doing it right now. So it's another bizarre reality show story, because this past week's episode, she completely went unhinged again. And I'm like, Alexis, you've got to know in these moments, you're going too hard in the paint. Like, you're just going too hard. You got to chill out.
It's pretty crazy to look at like Shannon and the DUI and how this season, one would think, would have been very, maybe Shannon like in a bad light, and the way that Alexis being on the show has made it where it's like there's no way but to not just like root for Shannon is pretty crazy.
I mean, you did Shannon a favor in some ways. Anyway, Sarah, that is our time. I could talk to you forever. I want everybody to right now go to usweekly.com. I want you to sign up for their newsletter, because you
usmagazine.com. Usmagazine.com.
Usmagazine.com, not Usweek, usmagazine.com.
Yes.
Sign up for all those newsletters. Also, go follow Sarah on IG. I'll post that there. She had some really fun pictures from the NY premiere, the Page de Sorbo. Anything else coming up that we can support you with?
No, just follow along. As we mentioned, the reality star issue will be coming soon. It's gonna have a lot of
and I'll see you on the red carpet.
I'll see you on the red carpet. Yes, and then after that, I'll have my big moment too. So we'll get to celebrate all that fun stuff in LA. I'm excited.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and you guys have the rest of this week. I hope it's the best week ever. Make good choices, and I will talk to you on Tuesday. Bye.